Okay, we'll be factoring polynomials. Now, the idea of factoring polynomials, or just the idea of factoring, is returning something to what it was before multiplication. If I wanted to return a 6 to what it was before multiplication, I can say this used to be a 2 times a 3. So these trinomials used to be binomials. So let's look at multiplying two binomials. So we have 3x plus 1 and a 2x minus 5. Now if I were to multiply this, I will have 3x times 2x, which is 6x to the second power, 3x times the negative 5, which is negative 15x, the 1 times the 2x, which is 2x, and the 1 times the negative 5, which is negative 5. Then we would combine the like terms, which is the negative 15x and the 2x, and get a negative 13x minus 5. So this is a trinomial that came about from multiplying two binomials. What we're going to do is we're going to take trinomials and return them to what they were before multiplication, hence factoring. Okay, the way that we're going to do that is first we're going to create two binomials underneath this trinomial, and we're going to experiment with different possible binomials. Now first, the 2x squared, we'll assume that came from multiplying the first terms. So we'll say a 2x squared used to be a 2x multiplied with an x. Now the 2, that's the last term. Okay, after we do the first term, we did the last term. The 2 could have been a 1 times 2 or a 2 times 1. We're not sure which one it was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try both. So let's start off with a 2 times 1 in the last columns here. So 2 times 1. And we're going to see if that actually was the way it should work. Because if it's correct, what's going to happen is that we're going to get a 5x in the middle. Okay, so this tells us right here the sign should be the same. So we're going to work with that in a minute. So inside we'll get 2 times x, which is 2x. And here 2x times 1 is another 2x. Now, this tells us that the signs need to be the same to get a positive 5x. So I'm going to use positive and positive for same signs. So together, this gives me a positive 4x, and that does not match the 5x that we need. So let's start again with two binomials, and we'll start again with 2x times x. But instead of the 2 times 1, we're going to write 1 times 2 and see if that's the right combination. So 1 times x is going to be 1x. 2x times 2 is going to be 4x. And once again, this tells us we need same signs to get a positive 5x. Well, the same signs we're going to use to get a positive will be a positive and positive. And this does make a positive 5x when you combine them. So this is the right combination. The last thing we need to do is put the first positive here. So I'll put a positive there. And we need to put the second positive in this second parentheses here. And now we're done. All right, let's try it again. This is a trinomial. We're going to assume that it used to be two binomials. And first of all, we'll start with the 5x squared. The 5x squared here, we assume that used to be a 5x multiplied with an x. Now 4 at the back here, we have lots of choices there. Either that was a 1 times 4, or maybe a 2 times 2, or maybe even 4 times 1. So we got 3 choices there. Let's start off with the 1 times 4 and see if that works. So 1 times 4. So this will give us 1x here, and this will give us 20x. All right. This tells us that we're using same signs, and we need to get a negative 12x. So same signs, to get a negative 12x, I'll use negative and negative. This combination gives us a negative 21x, which does not match. So let's start another set of binomials, again with 5x times x. Instead of the, okay, so we tried the 1 times 4. Let's try the 2 times 2. See if this works. 2 times 2. All right, with the 2 times 2, I'm going to get a 2x here, and 5x times 2 is going to give me a 10x. Once again, I see that we need same signs, but we need to get a negative 12 or negative. So let's use same signs here. And these same signs, when we combine, we get negative 12x, and that matches. So the first one here is negative, so we'll make that negative. The second one here is negative, so we'll make this negative. So don't forget to put the signs in. Students often forget to put these signs inside the parentheses, and they just kind of leave the spaces there. Okay, number 3. We're going to start off with 2 binomials. And 3x squared, we'll assume that used to be a 3x times an x. Now the 2 is either a 1 times 2 or a 2 times 1. We're not sure which one it might be. So let's try the 2 times 1 first and see if that works. 2 times 1. All right, this will give us 2x, and 3x times 1 will give us 3x. And don't be fooled. It looks like we're going to get positive 5x, but remember, we need to use different signs to get a positive 5x. If I were to use different signs here to get a positive, I would have a negative on the 2, and the bigger sign would be 3. I'll put a positive there. Now this produces a positive 1x, which doesn't match the 5x we need. So let's start over. It's 3x times x. Instead of 2 times 1, let's try 1 times 2. Well, this will give us 1x in the middle, and 3x and 2 times 2 will give us a 6x. And once again, we got to have different signs and get a positive. So different signs, I make the bigger sign positive and the smaller sign negative. And this combination does give me a positive 5x. So first parentheses will have a negative. The second parenthesis will have a positive. And we're done. Okay, next. So a 6x squared, we're going to assume that used to be a 3x times a 2x. And we have a 3 here. We have a couple choices. Either that used to be a 1 times 3 or maybe a 3 times 1. Let's try the 3 times 1. Let's see if that's the right one that we need. So this will give us 6x, and this combination will give us 3x. And according to this, we need different signs to get a negative. So if I use different signs, I would make this negative and this positive, and that combination will give us a negative 3x. It's negative, but it's not what we need. We need a negative 7x. So instead, let's try this again and use, rather than 3 times 1, 1 times 3. So this combination gives us 1x, and this combination gives us, am I doing this right? Looks like I'm doing something wrong. Oh, I forgot my 2. So 1 times 2, 2x. And this combination gives us 3x. No, 9x. Wow. All right, I got it right now. Okay, so we need different signs according to this, and we need a negative 7. So I'm going to make this one the positive and this one the negative, and that does give me negative 7x. So the first one needs to be positive here, and the second one needs to be a negative there, and we're done.